Hello, I'll be here in a second. I'm just getting a cup of tea. I haven't even put my green screen up. Oh my god, I'm the worst. coming. Mate. Oh no, I've spilled my tea. No. Oh no, I've got tea on my mouse mat. Ugh. Ah, my fingers. This is the worst stream ever. Oh. Right. Hello. Hi. Oh. Let's hopefully that music's not going to get too loud. It's a nice little occasional little background hint maybe. Might get too loud sometimes, so apologies if it does. Let me make me happen. Hey, hi. How's everyone doing? Hope you are all doing well. I've got a few different things I want to talk to today. To you, I'll talk to a few different people. I want to talk to today. It's you. Yeah, a few things I want to talk about today. 3.12. I would very much expect it to go to first wave PTU tonight, and if not tonight, then tomorrow, based on whether they can fix the blocker that's preventing it from going to first wave PTU. That's the only thing that's important to know about that, and the only thing we can share anyway. Yeah, so looking forward to that. First wave PTU should be pretty good. A load of cool content in 3.12, leading on to the end of the year. We can talk about 3.12 features if you want, and we can talk about some of the stuff that we saw on the recent, well, within the last few hours, Star Citizen, inside Star Citizen. We saw the Talon there. Hopefully I didn't refer to it as the Prowler in my video, which I often do. So the Talon there, we saw homesteads, which may become bases, or at least evolve into bases eventually. We saw some sign distance field shield tech, which I'm really liking the look of. So we've got some other stuff as well that's coming up by the end of the year, beyond 3.12. So we've got the new roadmaps, which is good. I think we've all wanted that. I've been told by some sources that there's some cool stuff happening at the end of the year as well. And that will be sort of towards the end of December, it seems. What else do we have? On the 17th, we've got the next part of the Reunion Mercury Star Runner short they did, which could be very cool. And we'll probably watch Reunion today again, have a bit of a chat about that, watch some of the bits of Inside Star Citizen. But if you would like to ask a question about Star Citizen or about anything like that, please, Star Citizen, question in brackets, not Star Citizen in brackets, question in brackets. Also, I have been playing a reasonable amount of Cyberpunk. I'm about 10 hours in Cyberpunk 2077, and I have some opinions on the game. I think it is a good game. I think the game is worth the money as long as you buy it from an outlet that allows you to get it a little bit cheaper than I don't buy my CD keys typically from the most expensive place I could find them. I buy them from a cheaper place I could find them that's still legit. I don't go to the super shady stuff, but I buy from cdkeys.com, for example. That's where I get a lot of my stuff. And I think it's very much worth that money. Do I think it is the best game ever? No. Do I think it is an amazing spiritual successor to Deus Ex and a little bit of GTA 5 mixed with that? Yeah, there are problems and differences and issues that I have with the game as well that make it not the best game of all time, but it's still pretty good. It's a great RPG. It's absolutely massively fun, and the storyline is superb so far, from what I've seen. Yeah, the Cyberpunk angle is that it was never going to be able to live up to its hype, okay? And because it was so overhyped, it would literally have to have cured me of all diseases and extended my life to 1,000 years old, and bluffed me as well and stuff like that. But it didn't do that. It didn't do all of them. So there are some issues, specific issues to the gameplay. There's a few bugs. They get solved. I'm almost certain they get solved. There's a few bugs, things phasing through places, assets floating and weird stuff like that. And I'm sure that people have had some weird edge cases as well, for sure. There was some graphics bugs, RTX and certain graphic settings causing people to crash out. That sort of stuff. That's semi-forgivable. Depends on your point of view. Some people are like, unforgivable. And other people are like, yeah, it doesn't matter. We play Star Citizen. It's a bug. I'll avoid it, get over it, or just reload my my autosave. But yeah, there's a few little tiny bugs there, here and there as well, and edge cases for sure. But it's the gun combat, for the most part, and the melee with anything other than a sword that I'm not massively happy with. It just feels middling. The gunplay is not great. And it might be just because I'm only 10 hours in, maybe it opens up a load more. I've only just got to my swing in the second act of the game at the moment. The first act is basically a huge tutorial for the game and sort of helps build your character. Date for Wave 1 PTU, expect it either tonight or tomorrow. Very, 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 very high degree of likelihood on that. They wanted to release as early as they could, as soon as they got through this blocker. And once they've got that done, they'll release it. Basically, there's a black screen when you die, when you try and respawn, which is restrictive to play that they're trying to solve. So once that's solved, I'll go to first wave PTU. Very likely, high degree of likelihood tonight, and if not tomorrow. It's possible that it keeps them busy for a couple more days, but unlikely. I think it's something that they're near solving. Yeah, so I think Cyberpunk, worth the money, great fun, even if you're not a direct fan of the genre. If you are a fan of the genre, then you're going to have amazing fun with it as a fantastic-looking RPG with a load of cool stuff in. I think people that go less about the super stompy combat route that I've gone down with shotguns and like explosives and machine guns. If you go down the stealth route, I think you're going to have much more enjoyable interactions and combat experiences, probably, because I just feel that the weapons I fired, like the shotguns and stuff, just feel a bit dumb. They're quite Nerf gun-like. Like they don't give me a satisfying firing experience. But I mean, they did a lot of damage and everything. But like with my shotgun at huge range, with a double-barreled shotgun, I can fire it. It will knock the guys over that it hits, even though it's hitting them with just a couple of pellets. Yeah, and then I just walk up to them and go boom, 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 boom. Maybe not with a double-barreled shotgun, but with a assault shotgun. It just makes me play dumber. And yeah, it's an interesting one. But other than the gunplay, and some of the hand-to-hand. I mean, using a sword's pretty fun. You just run around slashing stuff. But the other melee weapons and hand-to-hand sort of, hand-to-hand's okay with punchy. But just some of the other melee weapons just feel a bit weird, and they don't sort of hit in the way that I expect them to hit. And maybe that's stuff that can be tweaked and solved as well. I played with RTX off at 1440p, so again, the game looks pretty good, but I was expecting it to be like for some reason a generational leap above. And I do think, as I said multiple times when I was playing yesterday, I do think that Star Citizen has spoilt me for a lot of the way it does stuff. So a lot of the way that Star Citizen's constructed its assets and its especially its planets look amazing, and a lot of Cyberpunk looked great, but it had elements that were overly repeated and stuff like that. I mean, and Star Citizen has that in some areas as well, don't get me wrong. Just, I don't know, I was expecting more from Cyberpunk, just because I'd hyped it so much up in my own head, and that's partly my fault, partly the media's fault, partly the game itself's fault, I suppose. It's never going to live up to the hype, but it genuinely is a great game. I think it's worth the money. If you do not like the genre, then you're not going to love the game. But if you like the genre, it is a must-buy. I think sort of game-wise, it's probably like a 9.2 plus out of 10. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, sorry, that was my views on Cyberpunk. How's my family doing? My family's doing very well, thank you very much. The targeted therapy my father is on is going superbly well. which is great. He's actually, the doctor said, you can have your driving license back to my father, which is something that would have seemed unlikely before, because obviously he had brain cancer and has brain cancer, but it's very treatable at the moment. I think it might even be operable. I think we might be able to get stereotactic radiotherapy now, because he was supposed to have that, but they couldn't do that in the end. They had to give him standard radiotherapy and this targeted treatment. But you might be able to have stereotactic, which would potentially reduce the tumours to potentially being benign. And there's a lot of what ifs and buts and maybes, so I'm not going to get like, he's cured. But I'm not going to be defeatist either. It's going to be, high quality of life. Get to spend time with my dad. Hopefully he's got a good few years left in him. The A90 jump is an advertising scam. What? Highly recommend reading A90 Jump, Expectations versus Reality. I will have a look. But what I would say is Expectations versus Reality on a game that's not released yet? I mean, it could change significantly by then, eh? A90 Jump was advertised as having enough firepower to take on a fleet of ships. A fleet? I mean, does it define the size of a fleet? Could a wing of 3 Buccaneers be a fleet? Oh, I love the look of the new shields. So if you'd like to ask a question during the live stream, question in brackets. Robert Johnston, still paying off 8k electrical bill. I'm so sorry. Electrician's bill, of course. You had to have your electricals done, didn't you? That is absolutely lame. I'm sorry that you've had that that experience. So I can't afford to tell you to feck off yet. Oh no, Robert Johnston, thank you so much. Still chucks me $10. Very much appreciated, sir. You have given the channel more than enough to be forever remembered in my my memories. Even Zin owes part getting employed to people like you. So genuinely, thank you. Very much appreciated, sir. Hope you do well. I hope you have a great Christmas if I don't talk to you before. But never worry about sending money to the channel or anything. It's all good. Major Waste, thank you very much for the sub. Very much appreciated. I know a lot of people wanted me to be streaming loads of Subpunk, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna. It's alright. I streamed it yesterday. It was fun. It's not the best game in the world. Deal with it. Anton, thank you very much. Hope you're doing well, sir. Good morning, good morning. Do you recommend a HOTAS or dual stick, or a controller as an alternative for keyboard and mouse for Star Citizen? Whatever your preferred medium is. It's literally, I say much of a muchness. They all have different benefits. I love HOTAS the most for a good feel of sort of like more sim experience, I suppose. HOTAS, Virpil, Constellation Delta being my recommended HOTAS. They Virpil do some of the best, if not the best, sticks in my opinion. Does Star Citizen support 4K? Yes, it does. Maybe one day it will support 8K. Are you going to use a Tobii eye tracker? Yes, I will be getting a Tobii eye tracker. Hopefully me and Zin will be getting Tobii eye trackers. I'm literally poking Tobii about it at the moment. I contacted Tobii eye tracker a couple of years ago, actually, because I knew that you could get the Tobii eye tracker bodge working for Star Citizen at that stage. And I was like, do you want me to do a bodge video on you if you want to send me a Tobii eye tracker? And they went, oh, we're not thinking about proper support for Star Citizen at this stage, but if that ever changes, we'll send you one out. So I was like, ha. So for people that don't know, Cloud Imperium are working with Tobii, and Alpha 3.12 has native tracking with the Tobii eye tracker 4 and 5. Officially announced for the 5, but apparently the 4 works fully as well. And eye tracking is not the same as FOIP. It's not face over IP. It is literally like head tracking. So it is a aid to your gameplay and movement. I think it works probably better with a larger screen real estate, but I'm going to play with it, do a guide on it, do a review of it, see if it's worth it. It's like $200 or so. Although in the moment until I think the 8th of January, there's a 10% off on the RSI website. But I quite like the idea of Tobii eye tracker. Let me show you. me show you this. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Got this video for you. You can see that the gentleman's lovely face showing you where he's looking in it. I mean, he's using the mouse as well, but he's able to look around the cockpit. And it's something you need to learn to use to aid you properly. But yeah, native support in 3.12. I think it's fantastic. You literally stick it on your monitor. Over or under, I'm not sure. I've seen lots of them under. Expect it's over or under works. I'll know more when I actually use it myself. I've poked Faceware and CIG for comment on if they're still within the Faceware camera. I believe that they are, but that could change. Is eye tracking a bit disorientating? I can't tell you for sure. I've seen other people use it, and other people seem to love it. I think once you get used to it, it's great. I have a Track IR clone for $30 all in, camera included. Cool. I think the idea with Tobii Eye Tracker is that it is very good for tracking your eyes specifically around the screen, and there's very little, if any, delay. So I think there are lots of different options. Obviously, Track IR, other head tracking stuff, very cheap head tracking stuff. You can use your webcam as head tracking as well, but there are pluses and minuses to all the different methods. I've got some videos on that I did a while ago. Sweet Jesus, where are the O2 kiosk missions? What, in prison, in Clasher? They change places. But you should tell you where they are, basically, and you should be able to run to them. At least it will tell you how deep they are and in what section of the mines they're in. Does the eye tracker work while wearing glasses? I believe it does. It also can work in very low light. When Homestead concept sketches were introduced, they specifically said NPC housing. People will make it as if it's going to be concepts for player ownable. So, they talked about player ownable houses around the same time, and in Star Citizen Live, talking about how homesteads are sort of like are continuing push towards player housing as well, and player bases, and at the same time they talked about the Pioneer becoming a mobile factory. So all around the same time they talked about these points of interest evolving towards what player bases could be, and it's going to influence player basing or player bases, and where players live. So the reason people think that it's partly to do with bases is because CIG put it in context of bases in some ways. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions you want. I've got lots of let's go through this quickly. Out of curiosity, so obviously I did a video on the latest ship leak. So I won't cover Evocati leaks because I'm an Evocati member, so I stay clear of them. But other leaks I typically will cover. Now, what I was thinking of doing and what I did with the last one is that I don't really mention it elsewhere. I just contain it with it in a video, which will say, this is a leak video, leaks and spoilers contained here within. And the thumbnail I went, well, what I'll do is I'll do it a slightly obscure silhouette of the new ship and do it like on a Pokemon background. Like who's this? Who's that Pokemon? You don't know because it's a ship leak. But Salty Mike, I was talking to him. He was very annoyed at me for doing that, saying that it ruins it for people, and you could tell what that ship was. And I was like, well, there's no way you could tell what that ship was unless you already knew what it was because it was a new ship and you knew what it looked like. And I looked at the silhouette and went, no. So that's my opinion. But I did also understand that some people don't want to see leaks at all. So I'm going to section them off very, very specifically. And even with the silhouette, I'm going to further pixelate it. So people don't have to worry about seeing leaks on my channel that they don't want to see. And they can choose to watch them if they do want to. It'll be clearly signposted. I think that's what I'm going to do. Anna Gaza, Thank you very much for the super chat. Very much appreciated. For the nothing saying. John Deprez. Bored. If I get a Tobii eye tracker for eye tracking, does it mean that I need a separate camera for VoIP animation as well? If you want to do VoIP, yes. Tobii eye tracker does not do VoIP. It does not do VoIP. It does not do VoIP or VoIP. It doesn't do voice over IP or face over IP. It is for eye tracking in game to turn your camera, to input for your mouse, to look around your cockpit. It is not for tracking your facial movements for face over IP. You can get both a camera for face over IP and the Tobii eye tracker. You can get one of them. You can get neither of them. Can we expect Foot Combat and Star Citizen to be polished to the level of Call of Duty Modern Warfare? Yes. You can expect that, should expect that, and anything less polished than that would be a disservice to the amount of money they've raised, the amount of time they've had, and what they've said they're trying to do. I think that's fair to say. Could you get in big trouble for leaking anything? From the Eva Carty builds? Yeah, so they could potentially, if I leaked something from Eva Carty, if CIG wanted to come after me in a financial way, they could potentially sue you. And they probably wouldn't. They'd probably just kick you from the Eva Carty and say, look, we're going to blacklist you or something like that. But when you sign a contract, contracts aren't these moral things, typically, although you can argue with some people and some bits there are the spirit of the contract as well as the written word of the contract. But the idea of contracts is that they provide financial recourse in the case that someone breaks that contract. Yeah, they give you protections for both parties typically, but it is mostly in the way of financial relief. Not entirely always, but mostly for the most part. So they could sue me basically and go, look, by releasing this Eva Carty information that you should not have, you have damaged our brand, reputation, our marketing plans, whatever. Yeah. Obviously, it'd probably be quite hard for CIG to prove that if what damage has actually been incurred if someone else has already leaked that information. Although, again, broadcasting it further, you could argue, well, there actually is some harm with that because your viewers wouldn't have seen it otherwise if you hadn't done it. Do you see what I mean? I'm also a law student. I did law at university, so I find the stuff like that and discussions like that relatively interesting, and watch like people like Leonard French. When will you or other content creators get their hands on the 3.12 PTU? So I'm Eva Carty. For first wave PTU, so I would expect that a lot of content creators, most of the ones that you probably watch are in first wave PTU. Expect the first wave PTU to probably be later today or tomorrow. They sort of want to get it done by the end of this weekend, like we've been saying. There's been some blockers there, because they did sort of want to release it earlier this week, but it just wasn't ready. There was a major blocker that would have prevented proper testing of the game. Yeah, you might get some cool little Christmassy bonuses for Christmas in way of flair and stuff as well. Yeah, spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds on ships is, I mean, it's expensive, isn't it? Expensive hobby buying ships. Just buy them in game. But or don't. It's all up to you. I'm not your dad. But you wish I was your dad. You're a cool dad. Cool gaming dad. That cool YouTuber guy. He does the Star Citizen. It's still in development. So's he. How many teas do you drink per day? So I've started drinking a lot less. Maybe like 6 now. But I used to drink at least 12. Yeah, I used to drink a lot of tea. What made you start talking about leaked ships? The most recent leaked ship, I talked about it because it was something to talk about, and I'm a Star Citizen news channel. So, for people that want to understand what I want to do with the channel, yeah, is I want to provide a Star Citizen news outlet that covers what's happening with the game's development, what's happening with the game in-game, what's happening with patches, what's happening with partnerships, what's happening with financials, what's happening with the leaks, what's happening with events, everything. I want to cover the game pretty much in its entirety. I even want to cover drama and other people's views on it and stuff like that as well. Obviously, I'm restricted in the fact I can't cover Evocati leaks. That's sort of fine. CIG don't want that information leaked out anyway. I'm hoping that a mixture of them evolving and realizing that leaks are a thing in every game, and CIG will start to use that to their marketing advantage, which I think they've already started to, and have, like, I don't have a problem with people, I have at all a problem with people reporting on leaks. Like, that is absolutely fine, as long as it's correctly signposted and not aggressively thrust into the faces of people that don't want to see it. Yeah, because you can choose not to watch that, that's fine. And people are mature, you can go, well, they want to talk about that, that's cool, I won't watch that bit or that part of a video. Just signpost it well, if you can. I think that's polite. But the people actually leaking the information, so not Star Citizen leaks, they're not leaking the information, the people providing them information, I'm not a massive fan of those people, because the Evocati members or the staff members or both that do that, that's bad form. That can get you in real big trouble. That can damage companies. Like, when information is available, cool. I don't mind digging. I think digging and finding out stuff is also fine. But people that are constantly leaking, it's maybe a bit of cognitive dissonance from me, but it is the way I operate. I'll go, if that information is available to report on, I want to report on it. It is news. But if it is not supposed to be reported on because it's been leaked by, staff members or Evocati, well, I can be annoyed at those people for leaking it and go, that's bad form. I'll still report on it. Not the Evocati stuff. But. How often do I log on as Evocati? I'm not sure if I can discuss specifics. Not as often as I probably should. How did you get in? I was asked. I got an email saying, "Do you want to be an Evocati?" Ages ago, when it first formed. Does the development of Cyberpunk affect Star Citizen in any way? Well, in some way. It's a game that people are currently playing. CIG will probably use elements of Cyberpunk influence in some of the missions and some of the way they develop certain bits, because the devs are going to be influenced by it. They're going to play it. They're going to look at it. So it will influence it in some way. It will change the marketplace slightly, things like that. Is it a huge sort of shift or switch? Does it have a huge impact? Very unlikely. The reason the NDA there is to limit the game being shown in its buggiest state, which would be bad press. I mean, partly. There is actually a load of other reasons for it as well, which I have talked to some people at length at CIG about. But it's also a mixture of spoilers, and they want to be in control of their press and marketing, which is fair enough. I'm pretty reasonable from lots of different points of view with that sort of stuff. I'm pretty chilled. The Redeemer in white boxing, when do you think it might show up in the persistent universe? Next year at some point. Obviously, they look to be in full active development of the Redeemer now. So the Redeemer, really, really cool. Do we have... Where is... So, we've had some white boxing of the Redeemer's interior now. This is the ship that was originally made a while ago. 2014, 15? Next Great Starship. So basically fans made a Redeemer, and they won the Next Great Starship competition. And then the ship needed to be reconcepted to bring it in line with the current version of the game and the sort of updates that they had with it, and in line with the manufacturer. So they cut it being a drop ship and just made it a gunship, and now they're working on it in full production now. So I'm pretty excited by it, and lots of the internals recently in sneak peeks, but also in Inside Star Citizen, which where is... Cool. We had the physicalized components they're putting into the Gladius at the moment. Physical components. We've got some of the white boxing of the Redeemer's internals. Inside Star Citizen. Which is good, because that means it's in full production, and hopefully they're going to just go straight through the pipeline with it. When can we expect a complete Constellation rework? I would not expect a complete Constellation rework. Expect them to do some light work with it, and when they finish off the Taurus, because they talked about doing some strut work and some little tweaks on the Constellations, but I would not expect it to have a full rework. It will get materials and lighting passes, stuff like that, little tweaks here and there, and it will get updated for physicalized components, physical damage system, the same as all other ships. It needs its parasite docking, hard dock, they call it, with the P52/72 and the Constellation, and the Constellation Taurus is not currently in active development. It keeps on pausing, and they do it for a little bit, and they pause it again. The Star Citizen live event today, is it at 4 or 5? What time is it today? The Star Citizen live. I thought it was at 5 PM. Is it at 4 PM? This week in Star Citizen. I thought it was at 5. It's at 5 PM. I'll probably hand you over to them around then. So it's in an hour and 10 minutes, so hour and 20 minutes. That's when it will start. So these are the homesteads, and they will influence player bases at the very least. Is the sign distance field only for capital ships? No, sign distance field tech is for all ships in the game, for better hugging around the ships. So I'm very behind in chat, but let's show this stuff off. So sign distance fields. So this was actually really great, because they show the sign distance fields off on the Javelin, and you can see that there are lots and lots and lots and lots of different visual effects that they're working on to try and work out what they want from the sign distance fields here. So does it change color based on how much damage it's taken in an area to show that you're hitting there? Do they have explosions and smoke and things coming off? Do they have honeycomb, sort of like electronic hexagons shown off? Do they have it fizzle and die? Do they have it really bright? So there's lots and lots and lots and lots of these different visual techniques they're doing. And also, they're trying to make sure that these shields, when they're taking a pounding all around you, they don't tank your performance. But also, we can see a really cool Javelin here. They're obviously using some weapons that they have made a little bit overpowered. They're just trying out lots of different techniques at the moment. But the idea of the sign distance field tech is that it hugs, molds, and deforms with the ship appropriately, and that should actually solve shield holes as well entirely, because they're not faked. It's the sort of honeycomb effect there. Diagonal. Yeah, I really like probably the hexagonal, but with the color change, the changing color that starts off blue and then changes as it takes more damage. That I think that will really help inform gameplay, because you can see where other people are firing. Basically, in your fleet, you know that people are concentrating in an area because you can see the shields there glowing, like red hot or whatever. What's the difference between Prowler and Talon compared to human shields? So, there's a few things, general shield attack. So, air shields, the sort of Prowler and Talon, well, more in the Prowler, but technically the Talon as well, literally has the ability to have an open, exposed sort of area to space, but then they have like a force field that comes down to block there. They also are able to block ballistics significantly better. At the moment, we'll see if it comes down to balance. It's going to be a lot better. If not, it's going to block them as if they're normal, any other projectile, which would be good. Also, they've got phalanx capability, so you can much more readily go hardened shield in this area. So the idea is like you put it at the front, hit and run, and then put it at the back as you run away. So yeah, I quite like the idea of them. I think they're cool. Should miners collect as much cash as they can now in 3.11? Maybe. I mean, there's going to be a reset eventually, so sort of bear that in mind. With this mining update in 3.12, do you think we'll see an update to cargo hauling next year? I think we'll see new cargo things in 3.12 as well. Like, we know they've been working on volatile cargoes and things like that. So expect a bit more cargo updates, because refining and mining does actually add to the cargo and freight mechanics. But yes, I would expect to see a greater update to cargo and cargo hauling next year, for sure. The iCache stuff allows them to potentially do Cargo 2.0, which will have much larger containers. Is side distance field? We talked about that. What's your favourite thing you liked about Cyberpunk? In the general character development, and the characters are pretty cool, for sure. Some of the bugs are hilarious. I mean, my favourite thing that happened was that Jackie, one of the main characters early on, chatting to him, he gets on his bike, says bye-bye to me, immediately runs me over, just plows through me, knocks me onto my feet. Like, thanks. Good job. I call my car, and I look around, see where the car's coming from. It comes through a warehouse, which it couldn't possibly come through, plows through a load of people. They go, these people just fly everywhere as it runs them all over. It goes up in the air, lands on a bollard on its side, and goes, boop, boop. It's like, you're the best character in this game, car. It's my favourite bit of the game so far. The derpy bug. Do you think Cyberpunk has raised the bar for Star Citizen and what it needs to deliver? Already done? No. I think Star Citizen did that all by itself. Like, Star Citizen's Squadron 42, in the same way as Cyberpunk, can't live up to its hype. We know that. People know that. It's hyped in so many different ways. And as I said with Cyberpunk, it can still be a great game. It can still be worth the money. Even if it lives up to a large percentage of its hype. It doesn't have to be perfect. The problem is that it's hyped by CIG, content creators, people wanting to buy it. Everyone at every level hypes that game up, other than people that are the opposite, going, this game is trash, scam. It's the opposite. So Cyberpunk and Star Citizen are not really that comparable, or Squadron 42 and Cyberpunk aren't really that comparable. I mean, you can compare anything. You compare Star Citizen to a salad or a steak if you want. I mean, it's not an apples to apples comparison, is what I'm trying to say. So, do you think there will be a wipe due to the new rock duplication glitch? Not necessarily. I mean, CIG have already shown that they can set certain accounts, track certain accounts, and just wipe certain accounts if necessary, or reduce their earnings to a certain level. Doesn't necessarily have to be a wipe. There will be a wipe eventually, though. How hard is it not to tell new features being worked on behind the scenes? We get so hyped, it would be hard to keep it in. I used to do office tours early on, and some of the stuff that I've seen in office tours, which I'm NDA'd for the office tour, and then basically I do two things. I typically will have a interview with someone there, which I'll ask questions at, which is a public interview. So I might ask them questions about things that I've seen in the office tour, so that sort of okays them for public consumption, and I can then reference them. And then after I've been on an office tour, I would typically send a list of my notes of stuff that I want to show off to someone, at CIG, and they'd give me an okay or no. Well, actually, we're not ready for you to talk about that yet. So I'm okay with playing ball. There's a difference when it's already been covered by other people, and if the information has been leaked, it's annoying that I can't cover it. That's the sort of situation that Icardi find themselves in at the moment, content creators. Just finished watching your concept vid. Great stuff. You did, though, miss that the Pegasus escort carrier. So, I'm not sure. I did miss the Pegasus, and I sort of missed it on purpose. So I literally updated my ship tracker with the Pegasus, referring to it as an escort carrier, just before I did that video. And it's because I haven't heard anything about the Pegasus for ages. I'm not sure when it's going to be in game. But maybe I should have mentioned it. I probably should have given it an honourable mention, you're right. What time is it for you? It is 3:45 in the PM. How do you feel about Elite Dangerous Odyssey launching March 2021? I'm going to be covering it to some extent. I'm looking forward to it. There is more room for more space games, especially at the moment when Star Citizen has not even nearly been finished. So if Elite Dangerous think they've got some cool offerings, and could make something great until Star Citizen's done, great. I will play it. I'll enjoy it as well if it's fun. Why? When they first showed us caves, they said they were extremely far from release. But then we got them extremely quickly. Do you think we could see the same with homesteads? Yes, they do have a more rapid pipeline for a lot of stuff, and they have a lot more teams and a lot more tools to be able to build out the stuff they need now in much quicker time. Typically, it's they might say something's a while from completion, but that could be a quarter, or it could be 2 years, or it could be they haven't even planned when they're going to slot it in yet. So with the new roadmaps, we'll have a bit better idea, I think. Why does it matter how the gunplay is when the NPC just stands in place or looks shoots at the walls? I haven't had that much problem. I've had a couple of them like glitching through walls and some stuff like that, but I haven't encountered that many bugs in Cyberpunk. But maybe it's because I am comparing it to Star Citizen, where there's bugs everywhere, so maybe there are a lot more bugs. I saw some people phase in and out with stuff and move through things and floating things. There's nothing hugely game-breaking. Actually, there's been a couple of game-breaking bugs. I got stuck in scan mode. That's game-breaking, but I just reloaded my order. Okay. I just quick saved and then loaded, and it was fine. Merry Christmas board. Redeemer white box has been revealed. Yes, we talked about it earlier. Can you help me prove my point that the hab is between the shield generator and a component lockup on the floor and not at the bottom? On the top floor and not at the bottom. Oh, okay. I haven't tried to actually map it, but we can do is go what we can do is we can do this. So obviously it's become a gunship now. That's basically the room you're after. That is the bedroom. Is the living. Redeemer floor large. You can see in the background the text. I haven't got enough information there to work out where it is on the ship. And it would take time for me to do any form of sort of audit on that. Now there's going to be a dedicated studio for making planets and solar systems. So that is one of their major focuses, yes. Gameplay area, planets, star systems. Do you think we can expect to see the development of other features suddenly speed up? Yeah, so with that dedicated unit, you will see more work on other areas and obviously more gameplay. I cached Q2 2021. That looks reasonably likely. That looks like the plan, maybe. It'll be Q2, Q3. Within tolerance, I suppose. I'm hoping for Q2. But, it's Star Citizen's development, eh? Thank you very much, Killer Void, for that donation. I'm sorry I can't be more helpful. I can poke someone at CIG to tell me. Bored, love the Chris Roberts peeking over your shoulder. Have a Jared one next time. Oh, I need to get Jared as well. That's a good idea. I could have Jared going across the top of the screen like a power-up from Space Invaders. As I am anticipating the medical aspect of Star Citizen, I was wondering, what are your hopes for how it will work in the title? In the title? What will work in the title? In Star Citizen. So, medical gameplay is going to be phased in relatively slowly into Star Citizen, but the idea is that when you get injured, you won't insta-die, you'll get knocked down for the most part. Yeah? Get knocked to the floor, you're bleeding out, you might be able to use a medipen on yourself to get yourself back up, you might be able to, other people might be able to get you back up, might be able to stabilise you, and that sort of stuff. So various medical treatments can be provided to you, but you can also choose to respawn, which potentially uses one of your lives up, and causes damage to basically your character, permanent damage, and eventually there will be permanent death if you don't get the correct treatments and stuff like that. And if you permanently die, you make a new character, and there's some death taxes, and there's some reputation tax, basically, is the idea there. You're not going to want to die, for sure, and you're going to want to try and keep your character alive where possible. But there's going to be various medical treatments, there's going to be various medical facilities, from Tier 3, which is the lowest ends of wounds, to Tier 1, which is near life-threatening injuries, and there's going to be various facilities and medical beds that can treat those in different ways. We don't know if there's going to be, or we don't know what type of medical gameplay is specifically going to be for those sort of treatment in medical beds of different tiers of injury yet, but there will be some. There's going to be lots of different medical items, and that's the sort of like basics of the medical gameplay. You will be able to basically be a field medic running around with the correct medical items, being able to treat people. You will be able to do search and rescue. You will be able to revive people and help them and all that sort of stuff. Would it be bad to lock the gravity entity to, say, the Connie lift, so I can put my rock on it without all the weird bouncing? They will fix the issues with the physics grids in the future. That will be a thing that is fully fixed. It will not jump around. Jump up, and let's get down. So much people tell me Cyberpunk makes Star Citizen look outdated. It does not. Well, I haven't played it in RTX and 4K, so. Yeah. People are more than welcome to love Cyberpunk, but there are issues that I have with the game. It does not look like the next-gen title. It looks pretty good if you put all the settings on high, but it doesn't look like it's mega amazing. It looks pretty good. Off topic, any synchronizer events happening soon? I will poke them at some point. I want to, with them and some other orgs as well, take on the Idris in 3.12. Do you think Star Citizen will have horror elements? Yes, Space is scary. They've talked about xenomorphy things. They've talked about putting you out of your comfort zone. They've talked about different missions and encounters and things that you have that could be have some more horror-esque elements. Where the hell is my pizza? I ordered the mofo 2 hours ago. Is it with you yet? Can the Toby eye tracker also be used as a webcam? Nope. To be or not to be? That is the question. It is. I will be able to tell you that once I have my own. Do you know when they plan to add more components like radar and thrusters for ship customization? Expect to actually see some more next year. Expect to see physicalized components next year. Expect to see them expanding out some more of the components that we already have, because they're building out the pipe system, resource system at the moment as well and the connections between all of them. Is the Toby eye tracker for real? Yeah, it exists today. You can buy it now. It's used not just for Star Citizen either. What else have we got here? You think there will be a ship sale around Christmas? Maybe. Might be some cool stuff happening. There's definitely going to be a straight to flyable, well, new flyable ship sale for 3.12. Because we obviously got the Shrike and stuff. And any other ships that get major changes typically get sold around that time as well again. Do you know when... No, we talked about that. Do you know why the 100 series is not available to buy in game install at the moment? It will be. I would expect to see it in 3.12 and if not, 3.13. If you've got transported into a completed Star Citizen universe and we're allowed to choose one ship under $500, which would you choose? Banner Merchantman? Didn't say how to be flyable at the moment. Oh. Is the Mercury Starrunner worth $225? No, but I do still think it's an amazing ship. Like I don't think it's worth buying ships beyond a starter package / potentially the Titan, because you might as well get it in game. If you're gonna play the game a lot, you might as well just get it in game. That's my theory. But if you've got disposable income and you want the ship, I mean, it's a cool choice. As far as Star Citizen ships go, it's worth $225. We need windshield wipers for our ship, do we not? When do you think we'll get them? I think they'll just have like really well heated panels on the glass, or some sort of tech to deal with windscreen wipers. So I can talk about the leaked ship we talked about, but I don't want to throw it in people's faces. So I will briefly talk about leaks now for a few seconds. So if you do not want to hear about potential ship that might be coming in 3.12 that Star Citizen leaks have talked about, and there's been on Reddit, and then close your ears. So the 400i is a ship that was a load of stuff has been chucked up about. A lot of people have said they've had sources email them with pictures of it and stuff, and I've seen those pictures, and I did a little video on that. And it's potential luxury, sort of Constellation-esque craft from Origin. That's pretty much it, and it's potentially flyable for 3.12. That's sort of really, it is just rumor and speculation at this point. Any news on Theatres of War? So, I'm expecting Theatres of War to go to Evocati again during 3.12, probably before the end of the year, but I will update you on any more Theatres of War information as we have it. Is the 3060 Ti good enough for Star Citizen? I would expect so at 1080. 1080p. Should be a pretty good graphics card. What happened to melee weapons like swords, bats, and spears? You will see melee weapons in the future. You know when the docking collars are coming. So we know that they're working on hard dock, so the parasite dock with the constellations to the parasite craft you can see on the screen at the moment. And they're now also working at ship to station docking. The docking collar docking, which is ship to ship docking, that is coming later out. They're not actively developing that at the moment. With the ship to station docking, the stations have docking collars as well, separate to that. That is something in active development at the moment, and I would expect it early to mid next year. Do you think they're working on in the background to convert Star Citizen to Unreal 5 final release? No, I do not think that. When do you think development of the Corsair will begin? Q3 next year sort of time. That's probably when they'll start slotting it in, probably. We'll know a bit more. Well, when I have an office tour, I'll know a lot more. We'll know a bit more with the new roadmaps. Alright, do you speak any other languages other than English? Very bad Pidgin German and Pidgin French. Well, actually, probably pretty much not at all. I was going to relearn German, but it's mostly out of my head. Like 10 years plus since I actually went snowboarding and actually used it, so... When will they fix the 30k server crash issue? So, they will make the game more and more stable, and eventually it will be very stable is the hope and the expectation. 30ks, though, are more of a specific... Any form of disconnection between the client and the server is umbrellaed as 30k, so they can't ever totally fix that, because there's always going to be those issues sometimes. It's just it's saying that that's what happened. Do we know what's coming Q1 2021 yet? Nope, not for sure, and we're waiting for the new roadmaps. They will be with us by the end of this year, though. Do you think that the eye tracking software is going to decrease the motivation for implementing something like VR? No. I think you'll see VR in Squadron 42 first, and I think once they've got the Vulkan integration in, they'll work out how they want to do it and how long it's going to take at the very least. Because they might go, yeah, we're going to do it, but it's going to be well after release. Or they might go, well, actually, we can get it in for Squadron 42 for its release. But we'll have to wait and see. I think that people should give Half-Life Alyx and Boneworks a lot more love, because they are the best VR games that have ever existed. Have they covered what in-game insurance they plan to sell to people whose pledge insurance has expired? So not really. We know there's going to be ways of insuring your ship at minimal cost in-game. Yeah, for in-game money, not real money, in-game money. And there's an expectation that there'll be different levels of insurance, and that there'll be ways to insure components separately. And the component insurance might be what costs a bit more. And the insurance on your ship you have, and the lifetime insurance doesn't cover the component changes that you put on there. So you'll probably be having to get insurance anyway. Any word from CIG on the Jump Point hardcover release? I've been told watch this space. So that is a hard maybe they're doing something. It might be that they're planning to have it at Christmas as merch or something, but... So still expect them. Well, 1 second, I'm just going to have a real quick bio, and I'll try and plow through the questions a bit quicker. About 15 minutes behind, probably more. Beer. Yeah. Oh, chocolates. Do you think we'll get Wave 1 PTU today? Yeah, I think it's very likely. Either today or tomorrow. Very, 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 very likely. We were expecting it by the end of this week. It's the end of this week. You're right, Morph, mate. Hope you're doing well, sir. Well, I've mentioned, I've given your name to Toby Eye Tracker. Hope you don't mind. I think they were looking for potentially some content creators for the Toby Eye Tracker stuff, so I mentioned you and a few other content creators. And gave them your details. Hope that was okay. And apologies if it was not. Badger. Been following the game and you for years. Finally bought the Nomad package during the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo and 3 days later upgraded it to the Mercury Star Runner because of you. I'm pretty sure that I would have said that the Mercury Star Runner is my favourite ship, and that was a good choice, sir. Good choice. But also, never spent the money on ships. I'm bringing this little square of chocolate, dark chocolate I've hidden in my room from the other day. It's not floor chocolate. It's printer. It's actually on my printer. Printer chocolate. I didn't print it. I don't think. I meant to ask what changed from when you didn't seem comfortable out talking about secret ship links initially. I got my answer. Okay, yeah, nice. Wouldn't not being Evocati be more beneficial to you, since you could talk about the leaks that are happening? Potentially, yeah. So, being an Evocati member, for someone like me, is a double-edged sword. It means I can't cover Evocati leaks, which, if a patch is, especially in Evocati for a long period of time, it means that I'm not allowed to talk about a lot of the stuff I want to be able to talk about. That's annoying for a news channel that wants to cover Star Citizen, and Star Citizen news channel. But conversely, it allows me to play the Evocati, read the Evocati notes, and get a feel for the patch. And then work out what content I want to do on it, while also working out how to avoid a load of the bugs, and, you know, get a bit more involved with the community and helping bug report. Although I don't really massively over-participate in Evocati, because the Evocati members in there are pretty damn good at what they do, a lot of them. And I'd say that I don't have the time that they do to do what they do in the way that they do it. And the good Evocati members are very good. So, double-edged sword. Do you think 3.12 will follow the last 2 years' Q4 releases and come out December 18th? So yeah, around that's when it is going to come out, around that sort of before Christmas, December period. Is it true that we will be able to get the Mercury Star Runner Belligerent Duck and Night Runner skins sometime, like on the 17th or 18th of December? So, as far as I'm aware, the Night Runner skin was only available, and was only available during the original concept game that they had for it, for the Belligerent Duck from finding it. There might be something else that appears on the 17th or 18th of December, though. So 3.12 is still in its Evocati phase, and is very, very close to going to Wave 1 PTU. With the Redeemer in white boxing, when do you see it showing up in the game? At some point next year, I would say. Probably Q3 next year, unless it's being Q2 if it's really being focused. I'm curious what information we have on more traditional MMO aspects of the game. Storylines, quests, and progression. There will be that. Each of the areas and star systems in the game might have various quests and storylines going on, which some of them will take you to other systems. Some of them is going to be factional based, so it'll be loads and loads of different factions and mission givers. And you can do loads of work for the UEE, you can do loads of work for various type of pirate groups and stuff like that. You can entirely make your own path, or a mixture. You can do just missions in the standard system if you want. Do you think the eye tracking software is going to decrease? That's what we talked about. Will the cockpit canopy bug be fixed in 3.12? They said they thought they had a fix for it, and they'll be implementing that in 3.12. So hopefully we won't have opening and closing canopies randomly. With Addison winning the election, do you think we'll possibly see droids, robots, and even though Chris Roberts has never been a fan, I think you might start seeing them being talked about in lore. I think you might see some of them maybe in factories and things like that. You're not going to see, it's unlikely you'll see rampant AI running around, but maybe that'll be in the future. I suspect you'll see missions based on AI they are developing, which will just be like a computer core or terminal or something, going rampant or something. You have to deal with, fix, convince. What is your favourite spaceship from any movie, book, game, etc.? I don't know. I like the Defiant from the Star Treks. I like the White Star from Babylon 5. I like... I don't know. Will Scramble Races come back? So, expect to see Scramble Races on planets in much more suitable locations. You'll sort of like, you'll be able to get there and going on. You'll also see around Grimhex and other places around the game, but around Grimhex, spaceship Scramble Races as well. Can you confirm the Mercury Star Runner fuel issue has been resolved? I can confirm that they are addressing the Mercury Star Runner fuel issues in 3.12. Confirm that. I had to be vague because it still might not be perfect. Nor am I sure exactly what they've said publicly about exactly what they've done. I don't want to expose what they've done in the Eve Carly patch, even though I don't think it would hurt. It's still not, you know, hashtag Eva Carty leaks. Is there a reason CIG won't publish the development of some ships on the roadmap, however they will for others? A good example would be the Mercury Star Runner and the Taurus. New roadmap soon. New roadmap soon, hopefully exposing that sort of information. So when is the 4.0 patches going to be implemented in the roadmap? So 4.0 is specifically the moniker, the name of the patch that is going to contain server meshing and pyro. We don't know when that's coming. Maybe it's Q4 2021. That would be my hope, but we'll have to wait and see. That is actually a huge milestone when they hit that, like a huge giant milestone, and I expect much more content and star systems to follow after that. Cyberpunk versus GTA 5? Okay, so I prefer the driving and the associated driving type gameplay with GTA 5 by far. Yeah, GTA 5 is made with that in mind. Cyberpunk is not necessarily made with that in mind. I found the driving around shooting cars when you're needed to a little bit roller coaster and a little bit again with Nerf guns. But it's still cool. The story is cool. The story for me is better in Cyberpunk. That it is obviously looks a lot better than GTA 5, especially now. Cyberpunk is genuinely a great game. Let's not dismiss that at all. It's just, you know, I had some issues with it, and that's, I think, fine. Do we know when they plan to increase the server limit per server? We know that there will be a huge increase when server meshing's in, but we don't know at what stage. Okay, there could be server increases before then. Deep space exploration, a thing in the future, like completely away from a solar system and planets? So you will be able to try and find other star systems and wormholes and jump points that aren't listed. the way I see exploration for the most part is you'll be able to go and scan down points of interest when you're on the edge of a star system. So you go edge of Stanton, scan some points of interest and keep on going and keep on going and keep on your traditional sort of drives and quantum engines. So you're not going through a jump point anymore. You're just going out further and further and further. What do you say to people still calling this game a scam? You can have your own opinion, it's all cool. I don't have to defend Star, so this is not my job to. Call it a scam if you wish. I would prefer you to look at... I'd prefer you to attack Star Citizen in a different way than calling it a scam. I'd prefer you to come up with reasons. There's so many reasons to attack Star Citizen and avenues to attack Star Citizen for it being not the game that they advertised, not going to live up to its hype and things like that. Elements of it you don't like, elements of its management and efficiency that you don't like, or its monetization model. There's loads of things to attack Star Citizen for and on, or to be critical about, but calling it a scam is not one of them. It's not a viable avenue of attack. So you're more than welcome to say that, but I would, for the most part, dismiss your criticism saying that it is a scam, because it is demonstrably not a scam. What direction? I find that people that have to define it as a scam and say it is a scam have to redefine what the word scam means, and then go, it does this. It's okay. Your definition of the scam, your definition of that word, it fits that. However, that's not the definition of scam unless you make it that. For the most part. But as I said, you are allowed to have your own opinions and stuff like that. You're allowed to think that stuff's unfair. You're allowed to think that an element of the game is trash or whatever. That's cool. That's you. There are things that I don't like too. What direction do you think the channel will go in once the game is released? Deep, but a thought. Cool. Yeah, lots more stuff in game. I will cover the game a lot more from inside of the game. There's going to be still patches and patch notes and new stuff coming out with Star Citizen. They're going to continue to develop the game. But there's also going to be a lot more game to do. There's going to be a lot more news to cover from in-game. I get to play it a lot more. What are the plans and ideas for big BoredGamer Bar Citizen event? So, for the most part, I wanted to do a large Star Citizen event near Wilmslow or Manchester, where the UK office is there, and actually have basically a full all day at a bar with some maybe some stalls and a little panel going on and a pub quiz. So the pub quiz is going to be a big thing that I want to do, and I just want it to be a full Star Citizen day with devs, with content creators, a big fan meetup, but relatively low effort. I don't want it overly complicated. I don't want it over expensive. I don't want to charge much at all for tickets. I want it to be very minimal, very affordable, very doable. If it even has to be charged for tickets at all, I mean, I prefer it not to. Maybe what I'm hoping is that we can just get the bar to say, yeah, as long as you guys spend a certain amount, great, yeah, cool, yeah. What I'll do is I'll guarantee that we'll spend this amount. That's all I'll say to them. If we don't, then I'll obviously pay the rest. Where are the space rails? I expect they were coming in Cloud Tech. No, they're coming at some point on Crusader and Horizon, which is the floating city above that. But don't expect them to see them anytime soon. Might see a statue of one. When do you think iCache will come for Q2? I think it's more likely to come Q3 because of Star Citizen's delay schedule. But I hope that they probably have it targeted for Q2. I will update the donation goal with donation money that's not being included for some reason after the stream. Is there any news of crime stat updates? Every patch typically sees updates to crime stats and laws, and you will see deeper bounty hunter gameplay relatively soon. Will I use my ships or UEC if I get to the point of permadeath? So there might be tax somehow when you move your assets to your new character and reputation loss. But it's not going to be you're starting from scratch again or anything like that. It's not going to be so prohibitive that it is, well, GG, fuck you. But it is going to be, oh, I didn't want to die, no. That's the level. What else have we got here? Do you expect we'll see an increase in player bounties and criminal activity in general with players attempting to trigger the spawn of the address? Yes. That's in 3.12, yes. Do you have at least at the first few weeks of 3.12, do you have an idea of when the Ranger vehicles bikes will be playable? Not really, but I mean they're not overly complicated. They're the first true wheeled bike they'll have in game though. Now that Cyberpunk 2077 is out, can we wondering why we don't hear about the possibility of using cybernetics in Star Citizen? Any thoughts? And they sort of do. They sort of do use cybernetics to an extent. Can we heal an injury in a character medbay now? Or in 3.12? No, they need to... they're just respawn locations, really, at the moment. They'll have potentially deeper gameplay next year. There's a load more medical gameplay coming on next year with the player status system updates and some of the starts of medical gameplay. So, might get some updates then as well. Do you think the Terror might be next after Pyro and next? I think it's more likely that they're going to work all the way to they're going to go to the Odin system. So, Phantom, Pyro, Nyx, and going towards Odin because Odin's the Squadron 42 system, which they've mostly done, as far as I'm aware. Terror will be done at some point as well, yeah. How will they deal with permadeath if you die from bugs like falling through the planet? So, in the future, the idea is that Star Citizen won't have bugs before they actually put in permadeath properly, and then go, there's no more resets. Until then, it's alpha. Is there any news of crime stat updates? We talked about that. Do you know if CS is going to have large story arcs? Star Citizen, I assume you mean, rather than Counter-Strike. Star Citizen is going to have large story arcs in the PU as well as missions. So as far as I'm aware, that there are going to be system-wide events. There's going to be gameplay loops, missions and mission givers and factions that will take you around lots of different systems, things going on in the same system, timed events, different things that happen from month to month. So yes, to what extent and exactly what, we don't know yet. Elite Dangerous released a pretty hyped up video during the Game Awards last night. CIG seemed to be to avoid public events or marketing events like that. Why is that? Because the game is not ready for prime time yet. They do, however, market it as a playable alpha, and they do hype it up, but with their own sort of internal marketing team and stuff. So they're not going to be approaching those kind of events until the game is much closer to launch. You'll see traditional sort of advertisements for Squadron 42 when it is ready to be advertised like that. When I said, do you think Cyberpunk will force Star Citizen to raise its bar, I was thinking graphically. RTX is one example. I don't think graphically that Cyberpunk looked as good as it was hyped and made out to be, at least. But I have not been running it in RTX 4K. I've been running it non-RTX 1440p. So when I get my 3080, I will be running it with RTX, and I'll tell you what I think. Is 4.0 after 3.12? Yes, but not immediately after. It's literally whenever they implement server meshing, and Pyro is going to be where 4.0 lies. Do you think CIG is good about answering hard questions, constructive criticism, and legitimate complaints, or does it seem like they always have excuses for everything? So, would you consider them answering the question in an unsatisfactory way to you as excuses for everything? Are answers excuses? Like, sometimes they have not appropriately reacted to situations. Sometimes they are a bit tone deaf to the community, and they've done stuff that I would have seen as a bit of a fax piss, a faux pas. So, yeah, they haven't always got excuses for everything. but they do tell you why something hasn't happened, and typically it's because it's been delayed, it's not ready yet. They're significantly slower than they want to be, but they target stuff and they keep on changing priorities, and I think maybe they should have made that even more clear than they already do, and they make it pretty clear. I think content creators like myself have got a little bit to answer for with it as well, because obviously we report on the roadmap as if it's more factual than it potentially is. It is more targeted. And obviously I've been taking steps to make sure that I am more accurate in my reporting. So. What else have we got? How is 3.12 look as far as bug fixes? There are bug fixes in 3.12, but I can't discuss the exactly what. I love you too. Thanks, JBeth. Is there any movement on biologics appearing in-game? We are getting improvement to planet tech, patch to patch, and the worlds are really filling out, but creatures would be great. Oh, so you want... yeah, so they actually have a dedicated creature team at the moment, building out creatures. We'll get the Nautilus in 2021. That's certainly not confirmed. It's not in active development, as far as we're aware. Possibilities on ammo types for crossbows, shock, bolts, explosive. Potentially, we do know there are going to be different ammo types for different weapons in the game for both FPS and ship weapons, for at least the ballistics, but probably other weapons as well. We know that the crossbow that they recently showed off is very cool. Had smart bolts which literally expand. They're in a cartridge, very small, and they expand out, and when they come out of the cartridge, extend out. But we could I could certainly foresee there being shock bolts and explosive bolts and stuff. You see the genitals sticking out of your clothing bag in 2077? No, because I turned the PPs off. I censored everything because I was streaming it yesterday. When is 3.12 and when 4.0 matches on the roadmap? We're going to see new roadmaps towards the end of this year. They'll be in our hands soon, and we'll see what they show. Is there any news for Christmas? Chromestat updates, we talked about that already. Do you really believe that iCache will be out Q2 2021? I believe that's probably what Cloud Imperium have got targeted. I think it's more likely to be out Q3. Do you think we'll get an in-game tutorial? Yes, there will be an in-game tutorial at some point, and there will also be almost certainly starter/tutorial missions for each of the major gameplay loops. That'd be my expectation. We have previously had an in-game tutorial with Gilly, which obviously they kept on changing the flight model and stuff, so... Is your character in Squadron 42 separate from the persistent universe? Yes and no. You can have your character in Squadron 42 and then bring him into the persistent universe. Potentially the other way around as well. Squadron 42's in the past. And stuff that you unlock in Squadron 42, some of that will be give you unlocks in the persistent universe. So sort of the ability to purchase certain military gear and things like that. Getting access to the F8, for example. What are you hoping to see when the NPC Idris pops in 3.12? Quick to kill or extremely difficult, big battle, big long battle. That's what I want. Do you think the Star Fury from Babylon 5 would work well in Star Citizen, both the original Aurora version and the later two-seater Thunderbolt? Oh my god, I can't even remember. It's sort of like the X-shaped ones with the gun barrels coming out. Is that them? Are there any sniper-related missions planned for 3.12? Not that's on the roadmap. I would like to see those kind of missions, though. Here's a new sniper rifle. Do we know if the C2 will have a docking collar? I believe it does. Thought it did. Ba 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 ba. Hello, hello. Do you think exploration gameplay would be very limited without procedurally generated planets and moons? No. Well, so they can have huge planets, and they can have locations and little areas on them, and plants and things like that appear on them. And that's science and exploration to an extent. But they can have points of interest that are out on the fringes of an area that are sort of semi-procedurally generated as part of their sim, and which you can scan down, find. And some of them might be temporary, some of them might be semi-permanent. You said 4.0 will come in late 2021. So 4.0 potentially could come end of year 2021. So Star Citizen 4.0 is going to be the name of the patch that has pyro and server meshing in. That is literally what it's being saved for. What is your favourite medium-sized multi-role ship? Mercury StarRunner. After 4.0 hits, what do you expect to be the next big hurdle before the 5.0 moniker? Good question. Dynamic universe sim? Probably. Expanding out the dynamic economy would probably be the next big thing. It will be that or NPC crew sort of super expansion. Or it could be bases. Those are the sort of the three. Or it could be any of the major gameplay loops as well, I suppose. Any news or speculation on the Pegasus escort carrier? Nope, not at this stage. I even sort of kept away from one of my videos where I talked about almost all the concept ships. Because it's not really a concept ship, it was built for Squadron. It's complicated. I've heard people in games say that the Vanguard has no competition as a heavy fighter. Do you agree or thoughts on the next heavy fighter? So, yeah, it's sort of its own specialist heavy fighter role, for sure. I mean, it's just different from some of the other heavy fighters, right? The longer range heavy fighter. Do you think the secret ship, eventually in 3.12, is really going to be straight to fireball in 3.12? I've merely reported on rumor and speculation. Hey, Board. Without going into specific details, how much attention is being given to 30Ks? A lot of attention. So, they are working on for every patch, but there's also a deeper framework that they're building here. They're trying to improve their network performance, their stability, and a load of other stuff while building towards iCache, which is going to be great for them, and while building towards server meshing, which is obviously hugely important. So they're going to be improving the stability of the game between now and then, but they're also adding huge amounts of new content and core tech, which can cause more instability. So it's a weird balancing process. Hopefully we get less 30Ks and more stability every patch, even if it's minor. But hopefully we can sometimes see patches with a lot more stability in. Are they fixing the rock glitches? So a lot of there are lots of issues with physics grids and changing physics grids between planets, ground, ships, all that sort of stuff. So they're aware of them. I'm not sure exactly what process they are in fixing them, but it's a known bug and they will eventually solve it. The Redeemer in 2021, it's in active development at the moment. We've seen lots of its white box recently, so I would expect so, yes. What else have we got? Do you think that Chris will be behind your chair in person at some stage? I think I might be on one of Chris's chairs and him behind me at some point. That would be good. Not in a sexy way, but more of a, hopefully I'll get to interview him and he'll be able to show me something new in Star Citizen. That'd be great if I'm treated genuinely as press. Do you think that add a significant power draw cost to thrusters when the changes to fuel they detailed in the 100i fuel document come to life? So, just expect the 100i's fuel, the air system, whatever, just to be more efficient fuel intakes and take more fuel. We will see, in general, intakes and the way that fuel is generated by ships and converted into fuel and used as power by ships, that will change in the future with the resource system as well. Will Star Citizen do NPC romance like Cyberpunk 2077? I would not expect it. I would not expect to see romance beyond flirting in Squadron 42. I would not expect to see romance in Resistant Universe beyond roleplay with other players. Samurai, thank you very much for the host. Very much appreciated. Thank you very much for all the follows and the subs as well. Very much appreciated. Merry Christmas. Do you think there will be careers that don't even require you to leave a planet or get a ship? Yes. For sure. Star Citizen's going to have probably people working on board ships, people working on Genesis Starliners to make sure the passengers are getting looked after, turret gunners, all that sort of stuff, but also expect to see engineers on bases, people running bases, people farming, people restocking vending machines, lots and lots of jobs for lots of different types of people. Yes, it's more going to be a bit more multi-role for the most part, I would expect. So bear that in mind. Any idea when we'll get reworked Vandal ships? So that's an interesting one because obviously we know they've been mostly done, if not done, for Squadron 42's needs, the updated Glaive and Scythe. And why aren't they in the Persistent Universe yet and in Vandal Swarm? Well, don't know why they're not in Vandal Swarm. Hope they will be soon. Maybe because of the AI for the new sort of models and everything isn't fully set up, or some bits of them are still not done. But they also, for the Persistent Universe, they need the human-styled cockpits. Because the Vandal cockpits, they're done. They're for Vandal needs. Humans are a different shape to Vandal. Has anyone heard about when they're going to have all the doors for ships to the level of the Mercury Starrunners? Not all ships are going to have exactly the same control panels and light switches and the same functionality as the Mercury Starrunner, but you will see a lot of ships updated to that or something similar to that based on their brand, based on the ship they are. There's no time frame for that, but obviously there's stuff like that, physicalized components, physical damage system, lighting updates, materials updates for every ship that will have to be done as well. Any idea if one day it will be possible to just kind of live on one planet and only trade using... Yeah. I'm not sure how successful you'll be, but probably could have a Pioneer and fly around, or get one of your mates to fly around with the Pioneer, getting materials for it, or getting someone else to drop materials off for it, and expand out a huge base and then run that base, probably with farming and a load of other stuff going on there as well. We don't know exactly to what extent we're going to get, what we're going to be able to do with base building, but it's supposed to be a lot more expansive than original now. So it's not just outposts, there's a lot going on with base building, and you're not going to need a Pioneer to have a base, but it will be very useful as it's now sort of been upgraded to a general mobile factory for base building. if the PTU is released today, what time would it be? Late tonight UTC. It is released today. And I'd say that's quite high. It's highly likely it will be released today or tomorrow. Which systems are required for Squadron 42? The Odin system is one of the main featured systems, so it's one or two systems. I think it might be not just the Odin system technically. The Odin system for the most part, as far as I'm aware. Do you think they'll add a significant power draw cost to thrusters when changes to fuel? Oh, I see what you mean. There will be tweaks and rebalances for a lot of this stuff. Obviously, when they have the power systems, the conversion of resources into power, that will change a lot of stuff. Was there an official statement on what they're doing to fix the Mercury Star Runner's fuel problems? They've talked about it a few times. I'm not sure what the official statement was, and what I've actually seen in Evocadi, and I don't want to get the two confused because I don't want to break. I don't want to break the rules, not even technically. But expect the Mercury Star Runner to have its fuel problems addressed in some way in 3.5. Hopefully to everyone's satisfaction. Do you think they'll ever add destructive environments to the game? Like, say, if you crash your ship into a planet, it would create a crater or something. No. I don't think they want to have deforming terrain. Yeah, so the the Star Citizen Live is going to start in about 15 minutes, and I will be stopping relatively soon so that I can pop you over to that, because I do think it's probably worth watching. I'll include a bit of a summary in that in tomorrow's news. Since they are having some ships coming stock with blades, does that mean they are close to having them in game? No, so there's going to be lots of different types of AI blade, and they're building out exactly what that is going to be at the moment. The law of Vanquishing Ship X-12 was mentioned. It was found in a system that was closely monitored. Does this hint at the Vandal using other long-range propulsion tech unique to them? I suspect that they're incredibly nomadic and just move around for hundreds and hundreds of years. Since Squadron 42, or at least some of them, there's lots of different Vandal tribes. Since Squadron 42 is a story, will it have some type of romance, like in cinematics or dialogue choices? I think it's probably not going to have romance. It doesn't make sense for it to have romance in my head, because everyone will romance the same characters, and it's Squadron 42 is going to be a cool space epic, but I don't think you're necessarily the star in all of that. It's the way I see it. You're not V in Cyberpunk. What do you think about the idea of a small ship like the Mantis with the ability to hide the scannable, then scan signal for a fleet? What? So, what, the Terrapin? The Terrapin's basically going to do that. You can customize all of yourself. All of yourself in Cyberpunk. Yes. Will we be able to play dead for FPS combat? I don't know. You can obviously lie on the floor, and you can obviously get knocked down and be bleeding out. I'm not sure to what extent you could play dead, but I see what you mean. I don't know. Does it make sense to you for a solo player to buy an Endeavour Master set? No, it does not. If you want to make friends, get in an org, or have other people running it with you, yes, it does. I mean, NPCs might be able to run it with you particularly well, but I don't know. how great could it be to have the Cyberpunk city life within ArcCorp? Yeah. I mean, they're very different games. You're not going to have the same sort of freedom within the city that you do have in Cyberpunk, in Star Citizen. But Star Citizen is going to look, in my opinion, going to be a lot more highly detailed and pretty, and it's a space game with a much, much huger scale. So, not sure how much you care about this, but have you followed the pirate version of the cat? What's your version on the most recent reskinned design it got? Oh, I haven't. No, I didn't know it got changed already because I haven't really used it. So I'll check it out. I do have a pirate skinned cat, so I just want you to know if I sent me email. I did see your email the other day. I haven't had a chance to respond because of Cyberpunk. I apologise, Easyberry. I will respond to you at some point over the weekend. Apologies, sir. What about trees? They become destroyable and stop being God mode sticks? We'll see what happens with trees in the future. Maybe they'll be destroyable, maybe they'll be choppable down. I don't know. Do we have any other questions? At what time 3.12 patch be refreshed today? I don't know what you mean by that. But if you're saying what time do I think 3.12 will go to first wave PTU, if it is today, late tonight UTC. So between sort of like 10 PM and 3 AM in the morning UTC typically is when I would expect to see it. But I think it's very highly likely that the first wave PTU for 3.12 will be out today or tomorrow. The Endeavour could get bigger, that is true. But effectively, it's just a spindle for modules to be put on. Is the character build screen ever going to get a dongle boob size slider? I don't think so, nor do I think it's critical for immersion. Will the price of the Talon go up? It's possible that the Talon and Shrike go up in price for its release with 3.12. It's possible. I haven't heard anything though. You think a lot of hover bikes will be adjusted to sit better in the bays of ships? Yes. The ones that it's appropriate to, but also because they'll want to go into like a compact, sit-down, non-hover mode. Board, is Computer Blade control of man turrets still on? So we don't 100% know exactly what Computer Blades are going to be able to do. They're going to have lots of different uses, lots of different types of blade, lots of different types of blade software that's going to allow you to have lots of different functionality on your ship and automate some functions like potentially fire automatically countermeasures. We know they're going to be used to automate point defense systems. So some turrets will come with them automatically, but you can also remote control them if you want. With manned turrets, some of them, it sounds like we'll be able to have these AI blades in them to be semi-automated. And don't know exactly what that means yet, but that's what it sounds like. They're still building out that functionality and planning that. Appreciate it. I appreciate the love. Thank you so much. I am only reporting what I know and answering questions that I can. And a lot of those question answers are, yeah, I reckon it's this, but I don't know. I can give you the most up-to-date information from Cloud Imperium, but beyond that, I cannot give you anything else. Any other quick questions? Because I'm then going to pass you over to Cloud Imperium, who are just about to start streaming. And they will be talking lots about 3.12 and potentially some bits they're coming later in December and maybe a little bit for 3.13. Radiation waves and stuff. What? APG, just to pop in and say thank you for all the great content. It really helps us newer Star Citizens that are learning the ropes. Thanks very much. I appreciate that. Does Board watch the Star Citizen live with us? I'm going to end the stream. That's the plan. Do you think they will release their next system? When? End of next year is when I hope that we'll see the Pyro system. But obviously we now know that Cloud Imperium have a new studio in Montreal, or at least in conjunction with Turbulent, making a gameplay and star system focused studio that's literally building out star systems and planets and stuff as one of its major focuses. Do you know you are amazing and we appreciate what you do? Thank you very much, EasyBerry. I appreciate the love. I think I am just a scrub though, but I'm a lovable scrub. That's good. Right. I am going to pass you over to the Star Citizen, the Star Citizen Live boys. If their stream is up, it should be. Their stream is up. Right. Go and watch them on twitch.tv/Star Citizen. Bam. I will /raid them. /raid. No. Star Citizen. Star Citizen. Bam. They will be live in 7 minutes, but they'll do some audio checks and stuff, and you can get a cup of tea and chill out. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, thanks very much for watching me today. It's very much appreciated. As I said with Cyberpunk, it is worth the money, but it is not the best game of all time, like some people are making it out. You will have to enjoy the genre if you want to enjoy the game for the most part, although it is very good. It is not perfect by any means. It's good. It's very good. 3.12, expect the first wave PTU to be out today or tomorrow, almost certainly. That's not a guarantee, but it's a very high likely probability. 3.12 live before Christmas is the plan. And there's some other stuff happening before the end of the year as well, so be excited for that. It'll be pretty cool. Thanks very much for watching. Love you loads. You take care. Peace out.